was a fun 24 hours, Dub Nation, where we speculated whether or not Kevin Durant could be headed back to the Golden State Warriors, but those dreams seem to be dead now, as ESPN's Charania has reported that KD has zero interest in returning back to the Warriors and does not want to trade back to the Dubs. So we're going to dive into what all the NBA insiders had to say about it, plus what they think Golden State's next move is going to be on the back half of today's show. But first, I got to make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Never miss a moment here at Warriors Today. Trade deadline is tomorrow, and you don't want to miss a thing. So what you got to do is this. Hit the red sub button below this video. Click the notification bell as well, and make sure you select the all option so you never miss a moment when we post a video or go live here on the channel like we're doing tomorrow for the trade deadline about 2 hours before. We'll be covering everything surrounding the Dubs, and things might be going to the buzzer. So you're going to want to make sure you're subscribed and on that live stream tomorrow. Here is the full quote from Charania. And I'm crashing out. I'm not going to lie. He says, sources tell me that Durant has no desire in a reunion with the Warriors, and he does not want to go back to the Warriors in any trade. He used those words, in any trade. Remember, we talked about Draymond potentially being traded, and that could be a reason why Durant's holding up from Golden State. Mark Spears expanded more on this on ESPN a little bit after what Shams' initial report. He said, I was told it a couple days ago when Kevin heard about the Warriors rumbling. He was like, what? No, I don't want to go back there. Was pretty adamant. From what I hear right now, just got a text. The Warriors deal is dead. Oh my God, man. This just stinks. This is terrible. Like, the one player who I really thought could vault Golden State back into Western Conference contention was KD. But it's not going to happen now. It really doesn't seem like this is something that the Warriors, with less than 24 hours to go until the trade deadline, seem to be pursuing. They don't want to waste their time anymore, and they don't want the Suns to waste their time anymore. Remember, they were trying to get Zach LaVine, and they moved off of that deal to pursue Durant. Well, they didn't even know that Durant didn't want to go to the Warriors at that point. Silly on the front office's part, and, I mean, honestly, scummy on the Suns' part for not even, releasing that information to Golden State and just pulling their leg along and dragging them along for a good 13, 14-hour stretch. Here's what Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald had to say. He's really tapped in with everything in this Jimmy Butler saga, so this makes sense that he's reputable here. He says, Shams reports now that Durant does not want to be traded to Dubs, period. But he can't veto it. Let's move to this tweet from Chris Haynes, who says, Kevin Durant doesn't have a no-trade clause, so it's definitely possible. Like it is not impossible that Golden State could just go out there and trade for him, but the Warriors do not want to bring in a disgruntled superstar, and he says the time is running out to pair up Steph with a superstar. And that's kind of the thing, right? Durant doesn't want to be traded at all. He doesn't have a no-trade clause, but he's kind of a big enough piece of what the Suns have going on, and has a reputation of, I'm the man. Like, I'm one of the 15 best players ever, so he kind of has a little bit of, pull as to whether or not he could be traded from Phoenix. And it's kind of crazy to me that the Golden State's kind of just punting on this whole thing because they didn't even do their research beforehand. But is there still a possibility that it goes down? Mark Stein reported this just a couple of hours ago. Not even a couple of hours ago. I'd say minutes ago. I've been going crazy all day. He said, one source briefed on the trade talks furthermore advised the Steinlight that the Warriors might have the gumption to trade for Durant anyway, even if they believe he is disinclined to come back. This is ridiculous. I mean, this whole saga is an absolute clown show, a circus. I'm getting thrown this way. I'm getting thrown that way. People are reporting this. People are reporting the opposite. It's unbelievable. Like, can we just get a concrete report of what's going on? I'm really tired. I'm getting exhausted through this whole process. And regardless of this Durant trade, Golden State does need to make a deal and put somebody next to Steph. But this is all so exhausting. I wish they would have the gumption to go out there and make the trade, because Durant is absolutely the best player that Golden State could pair up next to Steph. But my big question here is, why is Golden State such an undesirable spot? Like, you have Steph, you have, a good system. There's some shooters on the team. Not a lot of creators, but there's some shooters. Why is Golden State such an undesirable spot for Durant to return to? He had a good time, had a good relationship with the front office, ownership, all that stuff. Who could be the reason why KD doesn't want to come back to the Bay? People are blaming on the social media spheres this man right here, Draymond Green, for the strained relationship that they had toward the tail end of Durant's career in Golden State, for the constant antics that he's been pulling. I mean, it goes beyond trading for Kevin Durant at this point. Golden State fans all over social media were saying he's ruined everything for us. And I can't blame him for thinking that way. I mean, Jordan Poole would still be on the team if it wasn't for Draymond. Like, he has kind of put this team's trajectory on a little bit of a rocky road ever since they won their last title. And, other Twitter fingers were saying that I don't really buy as much stock into what this says right here, but Twitter fingers were saying that Durant doesn't like that Steph kind of undermined his legacy when they won the titles in Golden State, when he won the Finals MVPs, but people still credited Steph and, used those rings more towards Steph's legacy rather than Kevin Durant. So it could be a little bit of, I don't want to go back there to just run that same song and dance again, and people, even if we do win a championship, credit Steph more than they credit me. But I don't know. I don't buy too much into this. Maybe it's Steve Kerr that Durant really doesn't want to go, cross paths with again, as Shams reported that in any trade, Durant would not want to come back. But with that being said, like, with the names that are still out there left, and you can't say KD anymore, who is your number one Warriors trade target at this point? After the news that dropped about Durant not wanting to come back to the Bay, who is the player you want Golden State to trade for the most with less than 24 hours to go until the deadline? We're going to talk about that in just a moment. NBA insiders are talking about where Golden State goes from here, and there's two players who we've talked about on the channel before that we'll discuss in just a moment. But first, I got to give a major shout out to today's sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports platform with over 10 million active members, including yours truly. I love playing Prize Picks. So easy and so fun to win real money watching your favorite sports. I'm talking about 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks. And here's how you do it. All you guys got to do is pick a lineup of 2 to 6 player stat projections and just pick more or less. And Prize Picks is always trying to hook you guys up with incredible deals, like a free $50 in your account when you sign up using our promo code CLNS and place your first $5 entry. They got basketball, they got football, they got college sports, esports, everything. And it's not just the $50 that they're trying to hook you up with. They're hooking you guys up with a free square for the big game this weekend. Patty Mahomes only needs to throw 1 passing yard against the Eagles this weekend. Yeah, I'm going to take that. And if you pair it up with something else in the big game, you're already halfway to winning 3x your money on Prize Picks. So take advantage of this deal they're offering and download the Prize Picks app today. Use our promo code CLNS for $50 instantly when you place your first $5 entry. All this information will be clickable down in the comments section and description of today's video. Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, here's actually what Shams said after the initial report that Durant does not want to come back to Golden State. He says, for the Warriors, do they continue this pursuit of Kevin Durant? Do they move on to a guy like Jimmy Butler, who we've been discussing over the past couple of months? Is Chicago's Nikola Vucevic a target as well? We'll know in the next 24 hours. And he didn't guarantee that they would be making a deal in the next 24 hours, and I might crash out on that live stream tomorrow if they don't. I doubt it. Going to the first part of that quote from Shams, I doubt it. But could trading Draymond sway KD's mind and bring him back to Golden State? Maybe, but probably not probably not the best odds, and it's probably not worth barking up that tree at this point if they're just going to string you along all the way up until the buzzer. Like, you want to get something. If you just keep talking with the Suns and you don't get anything, then you're SOL. You're up Schitt's Creek without a paddle, and Golden State will be rocking with this same mid-roster for the rest of the season. But with these other targets, Golden State is clearly viewed across the league as a desperate franchise right now. Mike Dunleavy is calling everybody. I saw a video of him in the airport last night on the phones working them, and everybody knows that Golden State is desperate right now, which could mean if they were to make a trade for a Jimmy Butler or for a Vucevic, those teams are going to hike up the price tag on Golden State because they know they are desperate to make a move. Mark Stein with this just like, an hour ago from when we were recording this video, he said the Warriors have now shifted their trade focus to acquiring Jimmy Butler. Remember we put up that meme a couple days ago on the channel? Ah, shit. Here we go again. The Stein line is learned after, obviously, abandoning the pursuit of Kevin Durant. So it's crazy how he said that they might still have the gumption to trade for Durant, but now they're abandoning it. Conflicting reports from the Stein line. But he says that they've shifted their focus to a Butler trade, which would literally cost less than a Durant trade, but still $48.8 million, man. Like, this is a high price tag, and it's a player who is disgruntled, yet Miami is willing to take this situation into the offseason, so Miami would still be able to drive a high price if they were to send him to Golden State. But remember what we heard just 2 days ago, that Brian Windhorst tweet where he said that Jimmy Butler has communicated to Golden State that he's unwilling to sign a contract extension, and therefore trade talks to send him to Golden State have ended for now. Remember, for now is the big 2 words in this tweet that everybody was kind of focused in on, because then Anthony Slater said that Golden State still believes that they are quote-unquote firmly in the mix for a Jimmy Butler trade. I mean, like I said before, this is reported here. This is reported there. It's all nonsense. We're going to find out what happens with Golden State tomorrow, so make sure you are subscribed and join us for that live stream. But this is absolutely ridiculous. And like I said, Butler would cost less than Durant. You would not have to give up nearly as much draft capital. I'd say Jonathan Kuminga is probably not going to be in any deal for Butler. And, if it doesn't work out and you only trade away Andrew Wiggins, yes, it would be a loss. It would be a really big loss, especially if Butler doesn't re-sign in the summer. But it's the risk you take right now. But Jimmy Butler, at his best, can be a top 20, top 15 player in this league, and he performs in the biggest moments. So is it worth it? Maybe, but again, he's disgruntled. And if that's what Golden State doesn't want to trade for in Kevin Durant, then why are you trading for a player in Jimmy Butler that is a worse player? And now Miami knows they're even more desperate, and they're going to try to milk as much as they can out of you, even though it would have costed less than you're going to probably trade for him a couple weeks ago. It's ridiculous. Jimmy Butler's disgruntled. He's not going to re-sign, and he's a worse player. So why wouldn't you just have the balls to go out there and trade for Durant anyway? It makes no sense to me, but what do you guys think? Should Golden State make the move for Jimmy Butler? Are they desperate enough? Are you desperate enough as a Warriors fan to see better basketball being played on the court? Type T for trade, type P for pass. I'm trying to hear whether or not Dub Nation is in or out on Jimmy Butler at this point. Now we could also shift if that doesn't go down. Remember, this has always been the backup plan, right? Like a couple weeks ago, I was like, oh, Vooch, top trade target. I didn't realize Durant would potentially be available. I didn't realize, we knew that Jimmy would probably not be the best fit on the roster, but here we are again. Vucevic is inevitable, and he obviously cost literally less than half of what Butler or Durant would cost in a deal. And, could they go down this path again? Casey Johnson, who is really, really tapped in with the Chicago Bulls, said this yesterday. He said, as for the latest Bulls trade chatter, everything is fluid, but the optimism for more moves that surfaced Monday dried up some on Tuesday. So they actually apparently lost out on 2 potential trades for Vucevic, which made them say Nikola Vucevic is now prepared to be here past the deadline, and Chicago is prepared to keep him past the deadline, as the Warriors have shifted to bigger targets, including Kevin Durant, but we know that's out now. KC just tweeted this a couple of minutes ago. He said, the Warriors' focus have shifted to Kevin Durant, from Kevin Durant to Jimmy Butler per multiple reports, right? If Butler pursuit falls, Nikola Vucevic and obviously Zach LaVine, who they were talking about earlier, had been on Golden State's radar, but as of now, I'm told Warriors aren't sure they pursue Vuce at the Bulls' asking price. Are you serious? This guy was going to cost like less. He was going to cost like Kyle Anderson, GP2, and Looney a couple weeks ago, and now they're going to ask for a first-round pick. This is absolutely ridiculous. But that's what Golden State's going to do, right? Like they're going to exhaust all their options, and they're going to shift to a Vuce trade. This is BS, man. Like I wanted Vucevic a couple weeks ago. I don't really want him anymore. Like, come on. If a Butler trade falls through, like, yeah, that's what they're going to do. I wanted Vooch when I didn't realize that we could get Durant, but I don't really want him anymore, man. Like, what's he going to do? Is Vooch going to make them the 6th seed in the West? I doubt it. Other teams in the Western Conference in your range who have the same record as you have gotten better. And, Vooch, he's having an all right year. Like, he is playing well, but at the end of the day, he's not a needle mover. And honestly, as this season has gone on, like, yeah, he's a walking 18 and 10 every single night, and he shoots the 3-ball, but that 3-ball is actually kind of faltering as the season has gone on. Over the past couple of months, I mean, I should say all of January, he was abysmal. And that's where he played, tied for his most games this season of 16. He shot less than 30%. The well dried up. Don't pay attention to this. This is only one game in February, and he shot, probably 2 for 3. And October, November, he was awesome. And the page turns to 2025, and he's been bad. And honestly, man, I just don't think that Vooch is going to be a player that vaults Golden State to anything other than slightly above average, which is exactly what Mike Dunleavy and this front office have publicly stated they do not want to do. Now, would they do that if they don't have to give up any future assets or any young talent? Maybe, but at the end of the day, like, I mean, is Vooch going to win you 2 more games? Maybe. That could be the difference of whether or not you miss or make the play-in, but what does it matter if you're not even going to be contending in the Western Conference? I'd rather be closer to the number 1 pick. But pick one to trade for if Golden State is going to make a big move for one of these 2 guys. If it's Jimmy Butler, type JB. If it's Vucevic, give me an NV down in the comment section. It could have been Durant last night, but Draymond, I think, ruined it all. But let me know, who would you rather trade for down below. We can talk about it more on Twitter. Hit me up at Smitty at CS right at this handle right here. Trying to build a little bit more of a Warriors community over there. And if the Warriors make a trade, you'll find out about it first on that platform. And make sure you are subscribed to the channel. I'm telling you guys, if you're a diehard Warriors fan, you're going to love what we got going on here at Warriors Today. We're going to keep you in the loop for everything Warriors trade related. And we'll be live for the deadline tomorrow. So lock us in, hit that sub button, turn your notifications on. We'll see you in the next one. Let's go Dubs.